How are you, sir?
I'm doing great. How are you doing?
Very well. I'm going to get you spotlit. Don't worry, I will put a much uglier human being next to you. Go like this. There we go. Look at that. You get better
Uh,
looking just by
yeah,
association. That's
just work that AI. Just make me look.
there you go. That's
Movie star quality, right?
that's exactly right. Exactly right. How you doing over there today?
I'm doing great. How are you?
Doing very well. I think
Good.
we're neighbors-ish because you're in the Tennessee area, I
Yeah,
believe.
I'm in just outside of Nashville in Franklin.
Okay, yeah, Franklin's great, and we got a
Yeah.
campus out there in Franklin, and just
Oh, do
that's a
you
great.
really?
Yeah, we do.
I
Good
didn't know that.
location. Yeah, and you are a North Carolinian originally, I believe. Is that
Yeah, that's right. I grew up in Winston Salem,
okay?
right in the middle of the state, and a lot of great things about Winston. I still love that town, but I've been here
So
41 years now. So
yeah, it's home now.
yeah,
Yeah, good for
yeah,
you. So we
yeah.
were, my wife and I, born and raised California, but we're in North Carolina now.
Oh,
Uh,
are you? So where are you located?
we bought a farm near Brevard.
Oh
So
yeah, yeah.
you know Brevard. Okay,
Oh,
so
it's beautiful. Yeah,
okay, I was gonna say some people know that area. If not, I say, well, Asheville-ish, but uh,
yeah.
no,
Yeah,
you know.
my sister and her husband have a place at let me think of the name now. Arden.
Okay, yeah. Oh, very close. Yep,
Yeah,
absolutely.
yeah.
Yep, absolutely. That's where I take my
That's
kids
right.
out for all their activities too. So very
Yeah,
cool.
yeah. It's a beautiful area. I mean,
It is.
I would think it compares pretty favorably to California, but it's
For sure.
California's on its own as far as natural beauty. I mean, all the national parks and everything. It's pretty.
It's a beautiful spot, but we are definitely glad to be here.
Yeah.
And it's interesting too. And so we'll dive right in because this pertains to your background. And we got some of our men, from around the world that are joining us here now too, and they'll come in for a
Oh,
little Q&A before the hour
fantastic.
is up. So
Yeah, yeah.
it's a fun hour, man. But the uh the premise of coming out here to North Carolina, I got to speak um, 800 keynotes over the course of a decade, and started speaking in the banking industry quite a bit.
Oh,
My mom,
really?
yes, sir, and my mom was
Okay.
an executive for Bank of America for 45 years, so
Okay.
she had come out here to North Carolina first,
Yeah.
traveled everywhere.
The reverse migration there, right? Charlotte. Yeah.
That's exactly right. That's exactly right.
Yeah.
And so, I'd gotten to speak out here quite a bit. And so this became part of our short list of coming out here.
Yeah.
So
Well, that is
you
fantastic. Yeah.
got really well. You started in commercial banking.
I
I
did.
don't want to date you, but I want to say 1984.
Yeah, that's right. That's
Okay.
exactly right. Yeah, and
Okay.
really, I mean, that's an interesting thing that a lot of people don't know about North Carolina, but it was really kind of ahead of its time in statewide branching, and it built up several banking powerhouses. When I was living there, it was Wachovia, which doesn't exist anymore, is in Winston. You had First Union in Charlotte. You had NCNB in Charlotte, which is now Bank of America.
Right.
And so they really had some time to build up some strength. And unfortunately, it's like none of those brands exist anymore. It's kind of symptomatic of the banking industry and the way it's consolidated. And
Very
um,
much so.
but it prepped me for life, and it just gave me an interest in doing this work. I feel like when I was in banking, it was just an interesting mix of kind of head work and understanding and analyzing, but tremendous people connection and understanding where people are and what their motivations are, and just kind of a bigger picture look. And I really love that blend. But we're down to 4,000 banks now. I started was like 14,000.
Wow. That's
So
wow. So
there aren't many industries that have consolidated like that. It's
that way. Yeah.
yeah,
Did that play into you making the move that you did and kind of going into
yeah,
entrepreneurship? Because we're
yeah,
gonna dive into Bizics and I love I mean t you talking about momentum, and I want to make sure these guys know. No, we're talking about actual like motion of a moving body measured as mass times
yeah,
velocity. Like we're
yeah.
talking momentum,
The actual factual. Yeah, it
actual
really
fact.
did. I think that there were two things that kind of pushed me to go ahead and get started. I think a big part of it was the consolidation of the industry and just how much time was spent on integration and bringing things together. right sizing, choosing systems, all very important work, but not the most inspiring. And then I just think over time, I had the opportunity in banking, to work at three different regional banks, focused on small business customers. And I think every stop I made, it was a different flavor of what was important that the banking industry was trying to do. And I think at the beginning it was how can we streamline a lending process to get answers more quickly, and then we reached a point. It was just all the other financial services coming into play and talking to business owners about succession and estate plans and all that type of thing. And then just the explosion of the internet and all the online things, and I think over time, in my last stop in banking, I had the opportunity to be in groups with a lot of business owners through a mastermind group program that I started at Pinnacle on the E-Myth Revisited by Michael Gerber, which I'm sure you all know that book. It's just it's like the most classic small business book. It's kind of like
One of the foundation.
in the absence of having 1,000 advisors out there, if everybody knew this one book, it could be really helpful. And so, I ended up in these groups, and I would hear people talk and what they were really struggling with. And it didn't diminish what I had done in my career, but it kind of opened a new window that, maybe there's more to be done. And I felt like I had the skill set to do it. And, that's just what I've been working on ever since then. So,
I love that. And no doubt you had the skill set and you've been able to develop that over time too. One of the interesting things for us, whenever we get a chance to speak to amazing entrepreneurs too, is talking about the mindset of that too, because there's a transition that takes place. Doesn't matter if you have an executive position, there's a transition that takes place of going into entrepreneurship, especially for the
wow.
first time, right? So wrestling with that transition, skill set may be there, mindset is something that is, you need to cultivate and bring along with
Yeah.
you.
I
How
mean,
was that transition for you?
I'm still going through it.
Yeah.
I think it kind of came in waves. I think the first part is um, having the wisdom or fortitude just to accept that there might be something bigger, better, and more suited to your person than what you've been doing. And that in itself is a very difficult challenge. When you have so much built up in career and position and income, honestly. Just to feel like there's something else I need to do, and I need to get on with it. And I think now, really for the past 6 to 8 months, it's been the fortitude with tinkering, finding the right way to get what I'm doing to the right people. And you just realize, there's 1,000 options out there for anything, and there's no playbook from corporate. It's just like, I mean, I
Right.
mean, you hope you have a good inner circle of friends that are telling you like, don't do that. I mean, but it doesn't happen all that often. And you're always trying to make decisions and try things out and calculate the return and how much energy you have for it and that type of thing. And just moving along this path of tinkering with things, and still feeling very confident that what I'm doing has a broad-based need, and it can be helpful to people. So yeah, it's an everyday mindset thing. It's like I talk to people all the time, and not to shift before you're ready into the book, but about the energy required. And people talk all the time about the passion, the passion for it. You're passionate about doing something, and it's important. I think that passion moves you off center from kind of a potential energy standpoint into kinetic, like you're willing to do something about it. But it's really the purpose of it that keeps you going through all of it. I mean, it's like your intention to help people in a way that doesn't exist, or is going to be better than what they have, and to always hold on to that. I mean, it's a faith walk. I mean, I hate to mix faith and money, if I can help it. But I mean, it really is like you're seeing something that you really believe in, but sometimes it's hard to just
Sure.
totally grab onto the tangible part of it. I mean, it's a daily challenge.
Well, I mean, you mentioned earlier, there is an energy management piece of that, right? It's not just a time management. It's not just a skill set, there's a mindset. It's not just a time management, there's an energy management that goes
Yeah,
along with that too.
yeah.
And people don't realize that. And I firmly believe that's why, the whatever the percentage is of businesses that fail, I do believe it is because not because the people weren't capable or that the idea was bad, but that the energy is what fails them and they don't.
Oh, I mean, almost every podcast I've been on, I've said it. I've just seen the energy run out way before the cash. It's kind of,
Yes, sir.
it's like
Yes, sir.
it's a predictive thing when you're with someone and you realize that they're out of gas. It's only a matter of time, and you kind of encourage people, get some fresh legs, get a partner, get somebody to come in and reinvigorate the vision that you have, or maybe change it a little bit. But
Right.
I mean, it's hard to keep that energy, and figuring out how to distribute it to other people so you have more
Yeah.
sources of energy pulling with you. It's a day to day reality.
So talking about the energy, and you adopt this physics metaphor. There you go.
It's
And
not
I
a
really,
metaphor.
right?
It's a universal truth.
A universal truth. It is a universal truth that you are applying to this entrepreneurial,
Yes, right.
right? And so business momentum, laws, forces. So how is this showing? Where did this come from? Your love of that, and how did this come to be the framework for
Yeah.
you as you deploy your energy into it?
Thank you. I mean, I love that question. I love telling the story of how it evolved over time. But I was not I was not the best physics student in high school, but I went to a Catholic high school and had one of these like prototype cartoonish nuns that would basically jack you up against the locker in a heartbeat. And
Yep. Yep.
I mean, her slogan was "You be the door and I'll slam you." And I couldn't do the math all that well, but I promise you, like I was eyes wide open in that class listening. And it's a very easy formula, mass times velocity, so it's one that I remembered. And when I got into the banking world and started having interactions with business owners, um, I just noticed that the momentum term would come up all the time. I mean, it's like people wanted momentum, and they were eager for it, and it kind of stuck with me. I kept thinking about Sister Rita, and just kind of carried along with me for a long time. And I had a customer at the bank at one point that owned a short line railroad, and I discovered pretty quickly it's a really dangerous place. Like they have to be about safety all the time. And he had a dream for his little piece of rail down in southern Middle Tennessee that we're in TVA country for energy. If he could get a unit coal train running across his track, he would have like the mansion on the hill. Like he would be totally set. Like if he had one unit coal train a week, like it would change everything. And so we were talking about that, and he started telling me about a unit coal train. It's like 30 million pounds and moving at 20 miles an hour. He told me to take 2 miles to stop the train, and so like all these other connections started to be made in my mind about, man, that is incredibly powerful. Like mass times velocity, huge mass, slow rate, but still it's moving, and what that means. And once he said that, it really got me. You hear things and sometimes you think about it, and then there are things you get really annoyed about. Like and every time I heard it, I was just like, I just really wonder, like if somebody fleshed that out, it could be like one of the most useful business mindset paradigms if we could do it. And so I started thinking about. I was at the stage where I was thinking about how I could help businesses differently than I had in banking, and this all just kind of presented itself to me. And I was just like, "Well, Chip, you're not smart enough based on your report card in the 11th grade or whatever. Like, you can't do this on your own." So I was very fortunate that I was heavily involved in scouting here in Nashville for a long time, and had a good friend in a troop that we were in that was actually a physics professor at Vanderbilt. He's like Caltech trained, legitimate guy, and he had moved away. He'd moved to Washington D.C. to be part of NIST, the National Institutes of Standards, and whatever it is. But I mean, did diminish his science background. And just like if Marcus would talk to me, this would be like the biggest blessing to talk to a real physicist that knows me and what I'm trying to do. So he agreed. He's the nicest guy in the world, and we get on the phone for a couple of hours. And he was rightfully skeptical, coming from the physical world, what I was trying to convey.
Yeah.
And all I really needed to do was to have him talk to some of these topics, and I saw it immediately. and I think we ended up with, something that has kind of distilled thousands of business books. When I look at business books now, I can tell you exactly where it fits into the equation. It's
Yeah,
mass times velocity and heavy dose of energy before you ever get into velocity. But tons of energy books out there, lots of strategy books, lots of culture books. And I was just like, I think what we've done here is really kind of distill something that is not only readily understandable to people, but also observable. That we know momentum, like we know to tap the brake before we take the turn. I mean, like we know what's going to happen with the momentum law. And I've just found it to be absolutely true in business. And I'm halfway joking around about the metaphor. I mean, people say metaphor all the time, but I really think in my headspace, I'm very much at the place of accepting that if something's universal, it's universal, and I really believe that's a universal principle.
yeah,
So I'm just eager for people to hear it, embrace it, and just be more thoughtful about it. I think that sometimes with small business owners in particular, it's the shiny thing that they're thinking about, and now it's a lot of AI, a lot of
right.
how am I going to market, how am I going to leverage this up, and all that stuff is really important. I mean, you need durable systems in your business, but if you haven't figured out whether you have the energy and the direction part of it in particular, I mean, you're really going to be in trouble. I mean, you're going to be burnt out and have gone nowhere.
That's
And
right.
sometimes people can't really tell you where they're going. It's like they love the idea of being in business. They already have a logo for you. They already have, I mean, they have all the trappings of a business, but have they really selected that group of people that they're going to help with their unique life experiences? And they know a way that they're going to bring something very different to them to do that. I mean, that's
That's right.
fundamentally what it's about. So yeah, so it's been a great ride, honestly. I mean, I'm in touch with so many banking friends, and the banking industry was fantastic to me. I met so many interesting people in banking. Feel very enriched by that. But I do feel like I'm in the place I'm supposed to be, and I'm enjoying talking about the book and making things accessible to people. And I think it's a good way to. I'm obviously in the late innings of my life here, so it's.
Hey now, hey now. Don't, hey, you don't, you don't know. There might be a whole new momentum. Might
I
give
feel
you
like
all
if I
kinds.
can do this till I'm
Might be adding some
75,
years,
and
man.
I'm still lucid.
You're
It, it,
adding some
it's
years.
it's a great way to spend your life. It's like when you find experiences and interests that come together, and you're trying to help a particular group of people. That's a good thing.
And that's what you're doing is you're helping people with a mental framework, and right, you're helping them with this mental model. And I think I think that is a more powerful concept than we realize. I went to visit an organization, an entrepreneur that a lot of people know, and it's an organization we're working with pretty closely as we continue to grow and scale. And one of the examples they gave, we were talking about the theory of constraints, and one of the examples they gave was this mental model while we were there of all of these gears working together, and you have all these little, interlocking teeth,
Hmm.
and your business being these series of gears. And every vertical that you have, every input that you have is represented by its own gear. And when one of those gears loses its momentum, it loses its ability to turn, well, it inevitably slows everything else down.
Right, right,
Theory,
yep,
right? And so again, the theory of constraints just says, look, you find the gear that is working least efficiently, you focus on that, and that'll help the whole. All the other gears may need some
right.
attention
It's a
too.
system. Yeah,
It's a
it's
system,
definitely.
right?
Yeah,
It's exactly that. And so you're
right.
providing people with that, and that's a powerful way to look at things. And what I like about it too, in your book and your work, you're emphasizing one of the things that you mentioned the shiny objects. You're emphasizing simplicity. You're emphasizing focusing on fundamentals
Right,
rather than
right,
chasing the
right.
complexity, right?
Yes, that
And
was my hope. Right.
that's
Yeah.
that's really it. So how are you working, or how did you try to relay the message of balancing simplicity with nuance? Because real problems demand nuance, right?
Hmm.
And so when you
Yeah.
resist adding the complexity, like how do you resist that? How do you admit when you need it? Like how are you working through that with that concept?
Yeah, I think in the coaching I do, that's the nuance is the personal signature on the model.
Yeah.
And it's like the first thing you have to do is help people understand this very simple equation, and really accept that it does govern pretty much everything around us as far as I know. There's might be another dimension in the universe where it doesn't apply, but I would say
Yeah.
it's universally applicable. And I think at that point, you're really getting into what is authentic for you and what is authentic for your brand, and whether that is the way you shape and actually word a mission statement or a vision statement, that it's coming from a place of complete authenticity and sincerity in you, because that's the first part of energy that you're going to share. And it's like, what would you say it is? Well, you would think you could go on a website and work up a mission statement, and you probably could. But is it the energy giving, powerful, authentic statement coming from inside of you about what your purpose is in life? So I think it's part of the coaching process to help people, to your point, what gear is not working, and it's like, if you don't have the mission or vision, you need to start there. If you don't have a defined target that wants your product, you probably need to get there pretty quickly. And some of the other ones that are really culturally based can come along, but I think somewhere in it is this personality that comes out of the effort that you're making that still conforms to the overall formula.
Yeah.
And I think as people do it, they get more engaged in the formula about how it's going to work. I think little things come up about our personalities. About can I be negative? Can I be the derailment? Can I be
Yeah.
or do people feel safe around me? Or do people? There's a lot of personal ownership in it, that you've created a system based on yourself that is sustainable for people. So
Mm.
I wish there was a broad-based answer to it.
All right.
I think it's I think it's more that you've committed to the authentic journey that you're on to be that hero in your story,
Yeah.
and that you understand what the stakes are. And I think sometimes people don't really appreciate um, how physical and trying business is. For people that haven't started it out. I say in my book, it's like the old pinball machine from the '70s. It's like, there's so many things going on that are bouncing around, and you're trying to find the right way. And just appreciate that that's happening, and be prepared to make good choices. That's really the nuance of it. I hope that answered your question.
I didn't know that was it
You
was
may have
great.
had something else in mind when you said nuance, and that's kind of
No, I think that's great, and because it very much does, um, I believe like very similar to how parenting will bring out the best and the worst in you and cause you to have so many moments, especially your first child, right? We joke with our oldest that she's our therapy
still
baby.
apologizing to my oldest for
Still
being
apologizing. I
a rookie.
apologize totally. I apologized to my oldest this
Yeah,
morning. I'm like,
I'm
man,
sorry you got the rookie. It's like,
totally. Totally. I'm like, I remember this one thing. And she's like, Dad, I don't remember that at all as a baby. And I'm like, it doesn't matter. If
yeah,
it comes up, I would just want you to know.
yeah,
Like, I know I messed that up.
yeah.
Um, and so in business will do that same thing to you, right? It'll
Mhm.
very much bring that out of you. And that can be something that we learn to embrace and we get to
Yeah,
grow from that. Writing a book is a crucible not unlike that, right? So was as you were writing this and speaking about these concepts and diving in and writing a book, did did that come up for you? Were you tested in certain ways? Was there anything for you that was, shattered or revised or deepened,
Mhm.
where you leaned into your own principles even more? Like, how was that process, especially related to the concepts you're writing about?
Oh my gosh, man, that's an awesome question. Yes, I think that first of all, there's just this inherent self-doubt undertaking a book. It's like, do I have my act together? And I was talking to someone recently. They wanted to talk about the mass chapter in the book, and I felt very challenged writing that chapter. I really had to go deep in my conversation with Marcus to really kind of peel it back and understand how that worked in business. And I have to admit, I felt a little panicky. Like, maybe this is just a saying. Like, I don't,
Yeah, totally.
maybe everybody was right. And it's like, and you're trying to support it with examples. I mean, once you come up with like this is how it works, like you have to be able to show people that crystal clear examples of how it's worked for companies that have been very successful. So I
Yeah.
think on that level, it definitely worked. I think where I felt really challenged as a person in the process was coming to terms with some things that I know now that I didn't know when I was 25 years old, and wishing I had been, wishing I had been more astute about the way I was developing myself, um, what kind of vision I had personally for my life.
Yeah.
I think this works on you in business, and it's a personal thing too. I mean, I think it applies to anybody that's trying to move somewhere. You ought to be locked onto momentum, but just that awareness that I just kind of, I would say, drifted, but I wasn't purposeful about what I was trying to accomplish, and knowing how much frustration that built up in me that I didn't really acknowledge until like I finally went through this big
Yeah.
paroxysm of like the butterflies leaving the chrysalis or whatever. It's just like now it's my time. But when I look back on it, I just had this sensation of knowledge of why did it take so long for you to understand how all this works together? And you got to just accept it. Like you got to
Sure.
start wherever you are, but it was still that part of the journey for me was really really difficult to just kind of look back on missed opportunities, times when I didn't have the self confidence, times when I didn't have things that I really needed that would have provided a lot of momentum in my life toward things that were important to me. So yeah, it definitely came home and writing the book. And I enjoyed that. I mean, yeah, thankfully at the time, just being around creative people and working with editors and things, it felt so different from banking that I was all in. Like give me the feedback. We'll keep working on it. I think if I hadn't had that newness about it, it might have scared me off a little bit,
Yeah.
honestly.
Yeah. Good for you though. I mean, I go back to Thoreau's comments in Walden often, right? Most men lead lives of quiet desperation.
Hmm.
I think
Right.
that it's one of the most haunting verses in any book that's ever been there. And it's something that I truly believe that I've seen that continue to play out. And so whether you come to that realization that, gosh, I could have done, I think everybody gets to that point. If I had only known this, if I had only, I think everybody gets there. But I think some will just sit there and stew on it and let that make them bitter rather than help them fuel the next phase of growth.
Right. Right. Yeah. Right.
And that's what you, so whether that happens at 25, 45, 65, 85, whatever,
Right.
the
Yeah.
fact that it happens,
Yeah.
God bless you, go get it.
Yeah.
I think
Yeah.
that's
I mean,
amazing.
it's a big move in the book. That chapter on energy
Yeah,
from the potential
yeah,
energy we have of things that we inwardly are motivated by, excited about, or
yeah,
whatever, and just taking the leap of putting
yeah.
it into action and being willing to accept that you're going to learn along the way. And the main thing is that you're doing it. And there's a lot of beauty that comes out of accepting imperfect.
Yeah.
Just get on with it.
Well, you alluded to something earlier too, and gentlemen, I know we're at about 2:30 Eastern, so we're about halfway. So guys, you guys start putting your hands up at any point. I'll start bringing you guys in here in a second too, but I want to flesh out um, something that Mr. Higgins is talking about here. You mentioned kind of the symbiotic nature of what takes place, and you've got all these reflections that end up taking place as you're building this out. You've got all these personal things that come up where you start to question yourself. And by the way, it's not a you thing, that's a everybody who goes through the process of building and creating something like this, right? You go
Life,
through
right.
life. Yes, sir. If you're doing something, if you're chasing a purpose, if you're creating something valuable, especially to serve other people, it's going to grasp a hold of you at some point. You are going to have those doubts. You're going to have those fears. But there is this interesting symbiotic thing that takes place that as you continue to push through and you learn lessons and reflect, because that's the scientific method of learning and growing, right? You can extrapolate those lessons, and it does apply to your personal journey, to family, to, you know,
Mhm.
leading up, all of that stuff works together. I really think I'm a better father because I'm an entrepreneur, and I'm a better entrepreneur because I'm a father. And
Right.
I don't
Yeah.
think one informs the other necessarily even more. It really is symbiotic on
Yeah.
that, right? And so, you built, so on a personal level, like you built Bizzix around the idea that businesses like physical systems need these consistent inputs to maintain
Hmm.
momentum.
Right.
So we've got a lot of men who are here with us, even live, and men who listen who are leading families, leading, businesses, leading ministries of different sorts.
Hmm.
What are on the personal side, what are you seeing as some of the inputs that you've got to guard, on a daily or weekly basis to keep you from stalling?
I really, really appreciate this conversation. I really do. Yeah. So some of my conversations are very top of the waves, and I think you're getting into a lot of really deep things.
We
I,
we
I
we like we like to have good conversations
yeah,
with
no, absolutely,
good people.
absolutely.
So, and I think
I think for me, just the idea of being in the moment with the person that I am today and not getting confused about the person I was or trials that I had in the past. It's just there's something intuitive, like something can happen, and you're like, oh my gosh, this is like that time I did whatever and nobody showed up, or this is and then it's like this self-regulation of like, no, it's not. You're not the same person. It's not the same situation, and you need to make a decision right now about the best way forward. I mean, all that other stuff. I mean, it could happen. It's unlikely it's going to happen because at some molecular level, you're already informed about what happened there. And if you'll just trust yourself to make a good decision that's aligned with your purpose. That's the big warfare for me. I mean, it's just like nobody enjoys failing. I embrace failure now at this point in my life. I learn a lot from it, and I just know that until you're really risking and willing to fail, you'll always be minimized in the impact that you're having. But it
sure.
bubbles up, and it's not fun dealing with it. I mean, thankfully, I have a great spouse, and she knows how to back me down almost immediately.
Yeah,
She's like, "No, Chip, yeah,
good.
you're a different, bigger, more effective person now, and just put it out of your head. What are you going to do?" And I think that's a daily discipline for me. I mean,
That's huge. That's a huge person to have in your corner. How long have you
yeah,
guys been married?
37, almost 38 years. Yeah.
Congrats. Very nice. When's 38? When is that? You
She
coming?
knew me before I was shaving. No, I'm just
Yes,
kidding.
sir. That's
Yeah.
awesome, man. When's
Yeah. Well, at 38 in March. So,
in March? Okay,
yeah.
good for you guys, man.
Yeah.
That's awesome. We're coming up
Yeah.
on gosh, we're coming up on 17. We've been together 20 and married
Oh,
17.
congratulations. That's awesome. Yeah.
But it's the same. I mean, it's the same thing. Having that person in the corner who knows you sometimes better than you know yourself, and just kind of remind
Hmm.
you what you're capable of,
Yeah.
and help you kind of reconstruct yourself in those moments where you know that failure is a good thing, that it is informative, it's a data point, that's going to help you redirect the momentum in the direction it needs to go. But sometimes that emotional reminder, we still need that.
You're
Uh,
right.
we still, so it's nice when they can
Well, I
sense
mean, it's
it.
okay to sense danger.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
I wouldn't want to have, when I was in scouting, I had so many kids go through troops, and I was just like, do you even recognize danger? It's
Right.
like,
Right. No doubt about it. No doubt, man.
yeah,
Uh, Do you have, so you've got, that beautiful lady in your corner. Do you have others that you still look to as kind of a mentor to help you reconstruct some of these things, or like, a mentor that helps you inform, that inner voice, or do you have people in your life or people that you go to even that you don't even know, maybe just through books, or I
yeah.
love
I have.
this guy
Well, I mean, I
better
think
me.
first of all, my big go-to is John Maxwell, and
Maxwell, yeah. Yeah.
I joined as a founding member of his team in 2011 after I literally have a VHS box of his 21 irrefutable laws, and I'd
Yeah.
carry that box into work and share it with people. Like I'm just so ready to share good ideas with people, and John is just a source of wisdom for me. I got lucky to go to his house when they launched that team, but he would never know me personally, but he's had a huge impact on me.
That's great.
And I think that's a lot of how I've grown in life philosophy is a lot of his teachings.
Yeah.
And I've got two or three, one in banking and one kind of related to banking that I just really respect their wisdom. They've been in business for a very long time, and I think they're good at helping me get to the bottom of, I would say, the data, but the um, the situational thinking around different problems. It's
Yeah.
like, and that's kind of a new thing that I've been on lately. Is like, they talk about emotional intelligence, and been thinking a lot about situational intelligence. That people really see how the pieces do dovetail,
Yeah.
and how one decision may affect more than one place. And just
Sure.
how to sort through that. And you really need that if you're going to totally assess the upside downside ratio in any situation. I think that that's a really good form of mentorship. Is just I don't have a coach that coaches me on being a coach. I haven't gotten to that level. The John Maxwell team does a lot of that.
Yeah.
But I haven't gotten what you would call like an industry mentor
Sure.
about this. But
That's
yeah,
that's
I feel
helpful.
very supported and very grateful, and I feel like, as a younger adult male, probably too reticent to ask for help or even share my life with people. And I think that level of transparency and humility of being open, you're constantly amazed at what will come to you if you're open hearted with people about what you're doing. I think people will jump in and be willing to offer their experiences to you.
Very much so. No, couldn't agree more. And Maxwell is a phenomenal person to have. I mean, that's not a bad North Star to
Yeah,
have
yeah,
by
yeah.
any stretch of the
Well, he's
imagination.
a great communicator, and he's
Very
just the
much
kind of
so.
guy. He's easy to listen to, and is very
Yeah.
accessible.
Yep. Absolutely. Let's get one of these guys in here. Mr. Maras.
Hey guys, you got me? Can you hear me?
Yes, sir. We've got you.
Awesome. Well, Chip, thanks for coming in with us. You talked about your failures and stuff. They hurt sometimes, but are there any that stick out as either like your biggest or the one that you learned the most from it? And what did you take away and what did you learn from that?
Hmm.
Mhm. Yeah, I think I'm at a place I can talk about it.
That's fair.
I think I think I think my biggest, most motivating failure happened in graduate school. I started in banking, and then I went back to get an MBA 4 years later at UNC, and it was a very competitive crowd, and I really had a lot of I don't know, don't want to go too deep on it, but I had a lot of shame issues that kept me from getting a lot of airtime in the classroom. I just wasn't the first one to talk, and I was good at the book work, but I wasn't a presence. And we can go on for hours about how all that came about. But I think the pivotal moment was I had managed this part of myself for years. From probably eighth grade through college. I found a way to make it, even though I was uh, very nervous about being up in front of people. And I kind of hit the wall. It was a second year sales management marketing type class, very small, about 30 people in it. And I got the syllabus, and I was like, everyone needs to lead a class. So, it was all case study. It was like, you got a case and you knew your day. And I had the case mastered. I read through it a number of times and kind of knew all the questions. And I got up on the stage, to lead the class, and I literally couldn't talk. I mean, it was embarrassing, humiliating. Uh, the professor said, "Okay, well, why don't we just move on?" Kind of let me off the hook, and I got an F. I deserved an F. I didn't lead the class, and it started a long chain of events, and I think it taught me a lot about myself. That I think in that moment of failure, I knew that I couldn't hide from this issue anymore. And if I wanted to get to where I thought I wanted to go in my life at that time, I was going to have to master it. And so it wasn't the next day; it was in the next couple of days. Like I went to Burlington, which is about 25 miles from Chapel Hill. Got in a Toastmaster program and started started in Toastmasters. And then my next big speaking gig was being a third grade Sunday school teacher for about 10 years. And the first 2 years, I would literally sweat through my shirt every Sunday as I got up and tried to teach those kids. And yeah, that's I don't know. it's, it's still hard to talk about, but it's what was necessary. And I felt like I did what I could to improve in these areas at every step of the way. And then the big moment came, and I was back in banking. I had finished up kind of as a, sales manager, relationship manager, and moved into this first big strategy position where I was in charge of small business. And I was super excited to get the job. The first week I was on it, the boss came in and said, hey, the board retreat is next month, and I need you to do a presentation on our small business segment. it's in, it's in Virginia. It's an offsite. The entire board will be there, and I mean, I can't even translate how many calories were burned leading up to that. It was just like complete manic, obsessive, like Chip, to my point, this can't be the classroom again. Like, it can't be that again. I think you've learned a lot. And I went in there, did a good job, and I feel like I've never stopped working on it. One of the reasons I joined the John Maxwell teams, they had a speaking lane, and developed some good, stage skills with that. And this is where I say you wouldn't recognize me today, from that one failure. Like, people I knew in MBA school, was that 20, 35 years ago when that happened. I don't think they'd even recognize me today in what I'm doing, and being up in front of hundreds of people speaking, and leading groups, and it's like breathing to me now. But it's that is the trial, and the acceptance of a trial in your path, that you're willing to humble yourself to do whatever necessary to kind of make the move. And I can laugh about it now, but I promise you it wasn't fun at the time at all. It wasn't one bit fun. I was like, there were days I was walking in that Sunday school class, like, what are you doing? These kids are 8 years old. You're a grown man, like, I don't, but
Who judged you more, the board or the 8-year-old?
the 8 years old just wanted candy. I mean, that was, if there was a payoff at the end, they'd do just about anything for that. Yeah.
Good man.
Awesome. Thank you.
Yeah, that's a great question. That's a great story. I have so much respect for that.
Oh, thank you.
So much respect for that. That is, I mean,
My face still gets a little hot when I talk
I
about it.
understand. I do. I understand. I remember the first presentation that I was really asked to give. I didn't really have a lot of public presentations that were given during high school, and it was more collaborative, if anything else, that I could remember. And the first real impactful one was a speech class at 19 and in college, and I just went, man, and I was so nervous. I was sweating through everything, and it was the same thing. It was like, oh my God, this is atrocious. And then I had remind guys, the guys that are on the call live, remind me when we go into the debrief. I want to tell you about this class that I had, a different class that I had later on. You guys will find the story bananas, and fascinating, but it was another case study. uh, that was the kind of the foundation of this class, were case studies on this, and there was more presentations, and it was the same thing, man. And now, like you, it's like I get on stage and it's like not it it's like breathing. I mean, it's like
Yeah.
I can actually thoroughly enjoy it, and
Yeah.
and it's such a different thing, but it takes the gumption to push through.
Oof. Yeah, it does.
You know,
Thank you for the question, and I'll
gosh,
always be honest with you.
oh,
Even when it hurts.
I think it's great. And I'm going to bring Tori in here in a second too, but
Yeah.
I'll tell you, Chip, we had a friend of mine named Tony Blower came in a while back, and he is he's a pioneer in the personal defense and martial arts world. But one of the things that he said, because he really is a master around managing fear, which is a very
Mm,
natural thing. He says, if you don't have fear, there's something actually wrong with you. But one of the things that he said, if you were to give somebody a bottle of bravery that they could take and they could just be brave in a situation, he said, you look on it, the only ingredient that's going to be in there is fear.
mm.
And I think that was I love the way he said that. I always remember when he framed it like that for me. And so again, very
Yeah.
kudos to you. I think I
Well,
love
thank
that.
you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Tori, come on in, sir.
Alrighty. Thanks, Chip. This is gonna kind of tag into Adam's question. For me, sales is what speaking was for you.
Mm,
And then earlier you had mentioned, being your authentic self. At what point in time when you started speaking did that become part of your authentic self? Because for
Ooh,
me, the sales feels like I'm an imposter.
ooh.
And so I'm just wondering at what point do you cross that line and now this becomes you?
Mm. Gosh, that's a good question.
Yeah, I can tell you when the switch flipped. Is really when I was when I was in the John Maxwell team, and for me, there's an amazing coach in that curriculum named Roddy Galbraith. He's a British guy, and um, I think what he brought home to me is probably my biggest lesson on authenticity and just how powerful authenticity is to people if you'll let go of all the constraints and be yourself with the purpose and the message that you have. You'll be shocked at how people are moved. And I would say the same thing with sales. One of the books that I recommend a lot is the Daniel Pink book, To Sell Is Human. And he's got, I love recommending books where there's tons of resources out there and you can kind of self-develop without, paying a fortune. But I think that's fundamentally, his proposition is like we're way past the feature benefit, uh, always be closing mindset. It's about people being honest about bringing a solution that they know is going to be beneficial to another person or to a company. And so, if you're in a place where you really believe in the product, don't have any preconceived notions about how you have to show up in that, other than being authentically interested in the success of other people and how that's going to help them. And I think um, the truth of that will flow to people and be very attractive.
Mhm.
Once again, just like my speaking story, I'm not telling you that's easy. I mean, there's so much like, well, I'm asking too much, or they're going to think I'm pushy, or they think this is all about me and I'm scamming and scheming or whatever. But I think we have a detector built into our human being that lets us know when people are being honest and forthright about what they're trying to do. And that would be my encouragement to you. Like I'm a big believer, and there's probably one game-changing book out there for everybody for what they're working on. And I think that To Sell Is Human is just a really beautiful book. It's really about uh, win-win, wholesome relationships among people. When you have something that you know is going to make a difference for somebody. So does that?
Yeah.
I hope that
Yeah,
helps
yeah,
address.
it really did. So yeah, I appreciate it. I'm looking for a pin because I want to write down to sell as human.
To Sell Is
Yeah.
Human, Daniel Pink, and
Daniel Pink.
yeah, he's right up there with your Gladwells and Cynics, and he's got a lot of books out. He's got a lot of wisdom.
Thank you.
Agreed. I'm gonna put that in
Appreciate
the
that.
in the chat there too, Tori. It's I really like that question and I really like that answer. I think a lot of times, Tori, a reframe is going to, and that's the book that he's mentioning, is does a great job of that too. But the reframe of selling in general. Somebody help me reframe it. Sales is really diagnosing and leading. If you are trying to convince somebody of something, it feels fake. If you are trying to convince them of something that you also yourself are not convinced of, then it feels fake and slimy, right? Like that's a big part of it.
Yeah, yeah.
Right? So
Yeah,
if
I just think there's a place where, and I think aspirationally in careers, being a true sales professional is a very, very high calling, because you really are at the front line of changing people's lives if you have a good product. And the one, I guess, kind of subtext to that I would add is sales is also a place where you have to be really acutely aware of the environment you're in and what's being asked of you, because
Mm.
I think you could be the most well-intentioned person, and if the people that you're selling for, the company, is not that way, it's going to create a ton of stress. And you got to have that alignment from the top that we understand that this product has this kind of tenor on the sales process, and we understand, if you can show me at any point in time where you are in this process, like we're totally okay. But
Mhm.
there was a time in banking where selling got the idea of selling got so popular, and there are all these consultants out like selling $1 million consulting packages to banks. And it was like, we got a morning call, we have a lunch call, we have a 4 o'clock call every single day. Like you're circling back on something that like people will take months to decide that it's worth it to change a bank. It's like, I mean, all your accounts are tied up. I mean, it's like the core of your family system is that you got all your accounts set up, and somehow there's this expectation that you're going to come back 3 hours later and tell them that somebody had made the jump. And people don't do that anymore. I mean, that's just not how banking is. So I think pay close attention to your environment, that it's a wholesome and supportive and realistic environment that you're operating in.
Yeah. Oh, that's really good. Tori, if you're able to stay for the debrief after Mr. Higgins too, I want to dive into this a little more too. I want to dive into the sales side, and I want to dive in. I'm going to tell you guys that ridiculous professor that you guys. Uh,
Yeah, I'll be around.
okay, cool. Yeah, very cool. Really good question. Really good question, and I love the insight for you from you, Chip. The legacy, because I know we're coming towards the end. I want to make sure we do right and make sure people know where to get the book and all this. But I want to talk because we're diving in so much on this personal side too, which I really enjoy. I really like that. So for you personally, the again, I can't overstate deciding to give a framework and push through the crucible of writing a book to give a framework to people that I do believe will help them in their business as well as their personal life, and to be able to push through and to do that. I think that's a powerful thing. It is a powerful service to others. So for you, the legacy piece, and it's a word that gets thrown around a bunch, right? But beyond profit or business scaling or whatever, like what does that look like for you? What is the thing you want to build that lasts? What does that look like for Chip Higgins?
I think maybe talk about it at a couple of different levels. I think for me, number one, that I'm wired about people being forgotten. It's got a lot to do with my upbringing, but
Oh,
um, the reality is, I mean, small business owners are over half of our economy, but the distribution systems that major companies set up can never afford the investment at the account level to give them the support that they need. It's always like, well, you're only spending, $200 a year. I can't give you a person that's making 100 grand to be your advisor. It's like, I can't, and I totally understand that. But I think that a lot of what I've done with the book in particular is to try to create something that is accessible and very scalable for people. And in my book, if you get it, there's a QR. In addition to the book, there's a QR codes throughout the book that take you to a place where I've got 20 to 25 business planning tools in there. They're all explained about how they fit into the equation. So this is another problem that we have. I think people get big notebooks that fill all this out and you'll be ready for business, but there's not a lot of wisdom about how it plugs into, an important equation like this. So I think that level of scalability and for people to know that they're known and cared about is really important to me. I mean, it's a lonely world, and especially for a small business owner with all the challenges that they're having.
yeah,
I think my really deep passion about it is a lot more personal and just kind of how I think about the world, and my whatever level of spirituality that I have is that these businesses are inherently unique. They are inspired by life experience, by whatever the crazy circuitry is in our brain about what we're attracted to and what we decide we want to know about, and a spirit of bringing things to people that will be beneficial for them. And I know now, like I used to observe the faith walk that's involved in it. I know what the faith walk is,
mm,
and I think my hope is that the legacy is that when people put a bet down on who they are and what they represent and what they have to offer to the world, that they have better than a 50-50 chance of making it in 5 years. I mean, to me, that's not, globally, I'm not talking about America. I mean, I think globally, we haven't acknowledged what people are doing when they start something up. I mean, it's very personal, very spiritually driven for most people. And how do we incubate those ambitions and passions and intentions that people have into something that's sustainable? And I just haven't found the way that we. I mean, it was the same failure rate 40 years ago. I mean, it's
Right.
not. I mean, it's not appreciably different. And you go out to 10 years, it's like you got a 20% chance of making it. And I think that that's the legacy that I want, that people feel like they have at least better than a 50-50 chance. And hopefully they feel like, they're below 10%. There's always going to be risk and unforeseen things that we do, but like the controllable things and the way we think about this momentum equation, that they've embraced it and they've organized themselves on that path so that this physical, this universal phenomenon is on their side, and it's not a disjointed, I need marketing, or I got to hire somebody, or jumping from thing to thing. It's like a purposeful pathway to what they're trying to bring into the world, and that's what I love. I mean, all throughout my banking career, I would say, knowing people that figured out how to do something that seemed completely improbable, or I mean, things that I never even thought of. And they brought that authentic self to it and created huge businesses out of it. And everybody ought to have that opportunity. But, the advice is hard to find. I mean, I think we all understand the economics of distribution systems and what people get and deserve. And it's not set up in a way to honor that kind of dream. So I'm rambling on now, but
Oh, you're good. No, you're good. I love it. Here's what it boils down to. You're a good man doing good work.
yeah,
The humanity comes through in this. Again, I love the framework that you are given, because the world will continue to convince us that complexity is what's needed, and it's always the new shiny thing, and
right.
those
Yeah,
simple
that's
reminders,
good.
getting back to a system that works, that allows your authenticity and humanity to come out, and creates that symbiotic relationship. I think you've done a good job
Yeah.
on this.
Yeah, and I mean, selfishly, I do want to mention just the next step in the book is that I have great hope coming out of this AI phase that we're in. I know there's a lot of potentially detrimental parts to AI. I tend to believe that for the small business owner, it's a huge advantage and be able to do things that you couldn't afford or you couldn't access in the past. I mean, I think intentional development of AI toward the small business owner is very beneficial. And so, no, knowing the schedules that small business owners are on, and really, I think some of um, the way people feel reticent about sharing what they're working on. I've developed an AI agent for my book too. It's called Physics on Demand, and so it is basically there's a platform out of Austin, Texas called Expert Loop that has helped me develop this, but it's completely ingested my book. It's ingested every article I've written, every blog I've written, all kinds of other important articles that are available to me. And 24/7 unlimited access. You can go in and start developing a relationship with this agent. It will remember your conversations. It'll know what you're working on. It's always going to ask you what you feel like you want to work on today. And I've had people, the adoption is really funny. I've seen the power of it, and people are still so reticent to jump in and just start a conversation. But I mean, I've had people in with the agent for an hour, and it's like this is an expert source. It's got a human touch, because I mean, all it knows is me. It's
Yeah.
like
How do you access this agent? What is that?
yeah. So it's on my website, Bizix.com. There's a section called Bizix on Demand. If you just look under the services, and it's got it's like a landing page, and there are click throughs to sign up. So I mean, I've got it set up now for a 7-day free trial, and during that trial, I communicate every day, like, here are some topics that you ought to think about jumping in if you haven't jumped in yet. I send out a industry report for you to kind of create a teammate, say, this is my industry I'm operating in. I want you to have perspective on it, and just test it out. And I have a full price point at $24.99 a month, which I think is pretty solid compared to Chat GPT, because there's a person behind it, unlike Chat GPT. I mean, I'm pulling for everybody. But I've got it on a special now for $14.99 a month. As long as you're a subscriber, you'll keep that price, and there's a 7-day free trial. And I'm really excited about that, Matt. I just
Oh,
think
cool.
that it could be 11 o'clock at night, and something pops into your head. Is just like, I heard this today. I need to start thinking about it for my business, and
Yeah.
you'll have a great conversation. I promise you. So that again goes to the scalability part. We're at a place where things ought to become more scalable for smaller accounts and things like that.
Yeah, that's where I think the power lies in that too. I love that so much. So Bizzix.com, we got Bizzix on demand. Get in there and dive in and check that
Yeah.
out and talk about the book too before
Yeah,
we
yeah. My book. I don't know if we're videoing, but this is the cover of my book back here. It's called The Bizzix Way: Powering Your Small Business to Maximum Momentum. It's on Amazon, and I've got a hard copy, Kindle, and audiobook. So any one of them, I think, will serve you well. And it's not a hard book to read. It's 200 pages. And my biggest, as I was working with Forbes, the publisher on the book, I told them, like, my nightmare scenarios, there's way too many formulas in here. Like, I mean, this is like Chip at the dinner table talking about momentum with people. So it's a very easy read, and a lot of personal, career experiences I've had with different kinds of businesses. And I think it'll plant the seed for that mindset that we've been talking about, Matt. I mean, I think it's a really good start to just take the book down and figure out if if you want to, if you sense a person in the book that you want to interact with. I mean, think about the agent, because that's what you're going to get. That's the same kind of, and by all means, honestly, I mean, I'm a very accessible person. Anybody listening, if you just want to reach out and schedule time to talk a bit, it's just chip.higgins@bizzix.com. Feel free to email me, and we'll find a time we can chat a little bit about your business.
I love it, man. Chip, I'm putting this down in the chat for the guys that are live here too, but we're going to put all of those things in the show notes and on the platform as
Yeah,
well too, so that
yeah.
we can put it
I
all.
just want to thank you for having me on. This is
Oh, man.
it's like the fastest hour. The questions are amazing. I mean,
So fun, huh?
I
Like
love
this.
I love getting great questions. So thank you so much.
I can't, Chip, I can't get enough of doing. We get to talk to great humans like you every week and dive into the amazing ways that they're helping serve others and serve the world. And, you're leading extraordinarily well. So the honor is absolutely all on this side. I'm going to bring these guys through a debrief, but I will touch base with you here in the next day or two as well, because I just want to
Yeah.
send you a thank you, and we'll get this over to the team so we can get this
Okay.
out, get the book in the hands of many.
That'd be awesome. Thank you so much. It was great
Awesome.
visiting with everybody.